So today my exhortation is going to be about the faith of a carpenter. And yet the person I'm going to talk about today isn't an actual carpenter itself, but he was part of one of the biggest carpentry projects in history. And the thing that drew my attention back to that is that even in today's times, there's still people trying to replicate what he built in those times. So I'm sure you all by now know about Noah. And the reason I came across this exhortation, or the reason I did this exhortation, is for a while I've been thinking, okay, what am I going to exhort about? What am I going to exhort about? And then the one day when I was playing with the little girls, it struck me is their faith in us as parents, their faith in us as people that's going to listen to, they look up to, and they just entrust us with every single thing in their being. Now, I can throw little Ruby into the air and she'll have enough faith that I will catch her, that she will say, no, no, no. And she just loves being catched and just being loved play with. But that's the reason I decided, let's do a talk about faith of a carpenter. And then we're going to look at the story of Noah and how we can translate that into our own lives and what lessons we can take out in building our faith. So everyone knows the story about Noah, where God came to Noah and said, Noah, I found the world a wicked place. I want you to build this ark. I want you to build this big boat that is going to save you and your family, and two of each animals. Now, as I started doing some research about this project, I thought, let's look at what the ark in those days would cost to build today. And I found a few companies that did a replica about the ark, and especially the one company I found had a nice timeline of how much it cost, how much wood went into it, how many things, all those little things, they jotted it down. So this company, working 6 days a week, 24 hours a day, and I have 1,000 workers working on a project. So that's about, at any given time, there's 300 odd people working on the ark. It took them 18 months to complete. The cost of phase one was $91 million US. They used 14,000 trees, and the weight of the timber alone was 1.9 or 1,905 tons of wood. Now, that's a lot of wood. And it took them about 180 semi-trucks to drive the wood up and down, knocking it in. It was a big project. Now, what we need to see is the size of this boat. And I tried to link it to something existing today, and it was quite difficult. But the closest comparison I could find was the Titanic. It was just a little bit bigger than the ark. And the size of that was 450 feet high, 75 feet wide, and 450 feet long, 75 feet high, and 45 feet wide. Now, in today's terms, that's 137.16 meters long, 22.86 meters by 13.72 meters. That's a massive, massive boat. Now, I tried searching and searching. I found the closest thing to that size would have been one of the new 55-foot private yachts. That is the same weight as what the timber alone weighs for the ark. Now, this yacht is exclusive. It's got big engines, big pools, fancy beds, fancy living quarters. It's insane. Now, what we need to find out is, okay, great. This is how much that ark would have cost to build today. This is the size we can compare it to. But now we need to look at how long did it take Noah to build the ark in those days. Now, we read it took Noah over 100 years to complete that project. Now, that's 100 years of a family building something that people can't see what it is. They can't understand, what is this family building? Why are they doing this? What what's going to happen? And one thing we need to remember is that in those days, there were no rain. The ark, the vegetation and everything was wet from the earth, from a little water coming up from the earth. Now, these people are building such a big boat, such a big ship, that to contain all these animals, to contain all themselves, and not just that, they have to take enough food on it. So that's some serious math going into that project alone. In the time of Noah, there weren't power saws and cranes and all these fancy things they use today to complete the ship. So they had to do every single thing by hand, cut off a tree, shape it, let it dry. That's probably why it took them so long. But not just that, is there weren't hundreds and thousands of people working on the ship. For me, myself, I would think that in the beginning, people were like, okay, they're cutting down trees, they're probably going to build a nice house. But as soon as the project started taking shape, starting to develop into this ship, this boat, people would have started asking questions about, hey man, what are you doing? Noah, what's this? What are you and your family doing? And as soon as Noah would have tried to tell the people, no, there's a big flood going to come, people would have started mocking him, ridicule him, and just it would have made their life really uncomfortable in the completion stages of this project. Another big thing that caught my attention on this topic, and we all of us know this, it's all by the power of God that this project went off so smoothly, is all the animals arriving there 2 by 2. If you look at the wild today, if there's any form of wild animal, a lion, a cheetah, a hyena, all those kind of things, your smaller buck, your smaller animals would have ran for their lives because of the fear of, okay, here's a predator, I'm the prey. So they would have been in constant struggles. And yet, when the time was right, when the ship was ready to go, the animals arrived there 2 by 2. Yeah, it's fascinating. When I was doing this study, there were so many people posting photos of replica arks. There's more than one there's one in the Netherlands, 2 in the US, and a few more out there. And on one of the boats, they actually had dinosaurs. And I would have thought to myself, okay, where does it mention dinosaurs in those times? Where would a dinosaur fit on a boat like that? And as I was finishing off the study and starting to get all my facts ready so I can put it on paper, finishing it off, it struck me, probably for the first time, I've probably read it hundreds and hundreds of times, and that was how long it took Noah and them were on the ark. Everyone read, it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, and your mind already starts, okay, after 40 days, the water would go away and they will find dry land. And yet, when we read in Genesis, we read about a time period of 5 months and another 2.5 months and 7 days and another 7 days and another 2.5 months. So it was a period of about a year that they would have been on this ship. And when I got that idea in my mind, it struck me even more about how much faith Noah had in this project. Not just the boat surviving for 40 days and 40 nights of constant rain, but staying afloat for not the entire year, but everyone being able to live in the boat for a year. All the animals, there's enough food for all of them to eat. There's enough food for Noah and his family to eat. And as soon as you start grasping that concept, you find that, wow, that is a massive amount of faith. And that's when things started hitting home. And that's where Matthew 17 verse 20 comes into me, where Jesus said, because of your little faith, for truly I say to you, if you have faith like a grain of mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. Now, I don't know who of you know how big a mustard seed is. It is minute. It is very, very small. And I thought to myself, surely we've got enough faith in ourselves just to fill a mustard seed compared to our human bodies. And yet we read, if you have enough faith, like a mustard seed, you will be able to tell this mountain move, and it will move there. So surely our faith isn't as strong as what we think. Or now, I'm not saying, don't get me wrong here, people. It is something for myself. It's surely then my faith isn't strong enough or big enough as a mustard seed, because I can't tell a mountain, listen, mountain, get up and move. I can't even tell my little daughter sometimes, get up from here and move there. She refuses to do it. But then I started reading, okay, great. Let's look at what are my favorite verses on faith. What can I take from this and apply it in my life where I can see, okay, great, Henry, let's take it from here and start building your faith. Let's start building your faith a little bit stronger every day. And the one is in Matthew 21:22. And whatever you ask in prayer, you will receive if you have faith. For a long time, I thought that's great. Especially when I was younger, I would pray, can I please have a motorbike? Can I please have a motorbike? Or can I please have a PlayStation? Can I please have a PlayStation? I would pray every single night for those things. And it never came. And that's when my mom decided to tell me, listen, Henry, God will give you what you want when the time is right, or what you need now. And from that day, I thought, okay, great. That's quite cool, because that's God working in our lives. That's God shaping us and forming us and building our faith stronger and stronger and stronger, without us even have to ask him, God, please help me build my faith. Now, still now, I would pray like, God, if it's your will, can I do this? Or if it's your will, can I have this? And the timing isn't right. But when the timing is right for God, we know that whatever we ask in faith, we will be able to receive. The next one is in Romans 10:17. So faith comes from hearing, and hearing through the word of Christ. Again, when I was a young boy, I would take the Bible and say, okay, great. I want to go play rugby tomorrow, open the Bible and point at one verse and read it. And I would take my own analogy from that. And sometimes it worked. If I didn't like the answer, I would do it again and again until I found the answer I was looking for. But that isn't how God works. That isn't how God and Jesus works in our lives. We can't just, okay, boom, I'm going to do this now because I feel like I want to do this or I want to have this. God is showing us, okay, I'm going to help you build your faith stronger day by day in such a manner that whenever you are right and when you ask for something, it will be given. Our mentor in business always tells us, Hendri Liesel, when the master is right, the student will appear. We can't just be, okay, I'm right, let's get some students and let's teach someone about us. And the last one I find quite fascinating for myself is in Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him and he will make straight your path. There's so many times where we get distracted, we get taken away from life, or life happens and we, without knowing, just decide, okay, let's put God and Jesus on hold. I just want to figure out my own life right now. I can't deal with this and this and this. I just need to get myself in order. And then, hey, when I'm back, God and Jesus, I'm there for you again, or I'll be able for you to help me. But that is exactly the times where we need to have Jesus working in our lives. Imagine Noah when starting building the ark, let's call it halfway through, everyone ridiculing them, everyone mocking them about, hey man, why are you building this ship? There's no water, there's not even a water space big enough for that ship to fit on. Imagine Noah said, okay, I can't do this anymore. God, please just wipe out everyone, just get it over with and start new. But Noah, through his faith and through his dedication and his knowledge and his power and his willingness to serve, he was able to complete that project. 100 years working on one single project. I get tired working 2 weeks on the same project. So I like doing small things that I can start and get over with. And yet here we read about a man and his family building one of the biggest carpentry projects in the world, that people now today still want to replicate that and see how much resources went in and how much it would have cost to get that project going. Now, how can we apply the story of Noah in today's life? What can we do to build our strength, just as Noah went every single day building that boat, building that boat, building that boat? What can we do on a daily basis to strengthen our faith? Again, I'm going to come back to the story or the illustration about a child. If you take a little child and throw them in the air, they've got enough faith to look down at you with a smile on their face, knowing you will catch them. But so many times God throws us into the air, and the first thing we do is we open our eyes, open our arms and say, God, please catch me, please catch me, please catch me. Because we don't have that same faith that he will catch us. God will never let us fall, even though it doesn't matter how high he throws us into the air, he will always be there catching us. Now, I'm meaning this throwing them into the air, not in a physical way, but a struggle in your life. Doesn't matter how big your struggle is right now or how high you are in the air, God will always catch you. When we carry Ruby around, when we carry little Amberly around, there's so many times you look into their eyes and you can see, Mommy, Daddy, I trust you with every single thing in my life. I trust you for you to hold me. I trust you for carrying me. I trust you for throwing me there. I trust you for protecting me. And myself, a lot of times when times are tough and things happen in my life, I'm like, okay, maybe I can sort this out myself. God and Jesus, their timeline isn't lack of fitting into mine. And that's purely because my faith isn't strong enough to know that it doesn't matter how difficult my situation is right now, God and Jesus will always protect us. Now, as we're going to go into the breaking of bread, we're going to look at, we're going to remember Jesus, and he's probably one of the best people that had faith as well. Up till the end, where he's like, okay, God, I trust you with my life. Father, I trust you, and I will do your will. Just as Noah did God's will by building this ship, staying focused, staying on the path, having that faith to protect him and his family in the end. Jesus did exactly the same for us. He's taking all our ridicule. He's taking all our mockery. He's taking all our sins away. And all they ask is that we have enough faith in them to understand that God's will always be done. It's not our time, but his. Amen.